In Canadian folklore, the ogopogo is a lake monster said to inhabit Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada. Some scholars have charted the entity's development from First Nations folklore and widespread water monster folklore motifs. The ogopogo now plays a role in the commercial symbolism and media representation of the region. Okanagan Lake is the largest of 5 interconnected freshwater fjord lakes in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia. Named after the First Nations people who first inhabited the area, it was created when melting glaciers flooded a valley 10,000 years ago. It stretches for 127.1 kilometers 79 miles and has a maximum depth of 232.3 meters 762 feet and an average depth of 75.9 meters 249 feet. Okanagan has frozen over during 8 winters in the last 110 years. The lake monster has been mostly described as being a serpentine creature with smooth dark skin with a large body thicker than a telephone pole and being up to 50 feet in length. The monster has said to move at incredible speeds, coiling its body in vertical undulations and propelling itself with a powerful tail. According to historian Mark M. Orkin, the creature received its name on a night in 1924 when the strains of an English music hall song were first heard in the city of Vernon, British Columbia. Orkin cites the following lines from the song. His mother was an earwig, his father was a whale, a little bit of head and hardly any tail, and ogopogo was his name. Orkin, however, notes that a somewhat different form of the song appeared in the Vancouver province in 1912, August 24, 1926. According to the DC, the name was first applied in 1912. Additionally, the creature may sometimes be referred to by the pet name Augie. Smaller creatures may be referred to as ogopups. According to Radford, the ogopogo is more closely tied to native myths than is any other lake monster. The Secwepemc and Sioux natives regarded the ogopogo, which they called the Nadika, as an evil supernatural entity with great power and ill intent. The word Nha-ik has various translations, such as water demon, water god, or sacred creature of the water. In native lore, Nadika demanded a live sacrifice for safe crossing of the lake. For hundreds of years, First Nations would sacrifice small animals before entering the water. Oral traditions often described visiting Chief Timbasket, who rejected the required sacrifice, denying the existence of the demon. Upon entering the lake on a canoe with his family, Nadika whipped up the surface of the lake with his long tail, and the canoe and its occupants were sucked to the bottom of the lake. The Nadika was often described as using its tail to create fierce storms to drown victims. In 1855, settler John McDougall claimed that his horses were sucked down into the water, and nearly his canoe before he cut the line. According to Pat Raphael of the Westbank First Nation, a member nation of the larger Okanagan Nation Alliance, the demonic view of Nadika came about through miscommunication between Canada's early European settlers and the Sioux Okanagan people. To the Sioux, it's an xax8k and ha-hawitku, the sacred spirit of the lake that protects the valley. The spirit was said to dwell in caves under Rattlesnake Island, aka Monster Island, or adjacent to Squally Point. Able to capture more. Sean never publicized it, but described it as having black hump-like ridges. 8 days later, south of the original sighting, Sean pulled his car over to look at the Highway 97 widening project, and Jessica spotted another disturbance. He snapped 11 photographs of the unknown object as it was surfacing near a boat. However, Sean has only shown 3 to 4 images to the public. One of them shows a tail or neck-like object surfacing the water, while the others show the back and head of the creature. Sean estimated the creature being 18 to 20 feet long, estimated from the boat in the background. The photos were examined by many local experts. Chris Bull, who ran the local fishing department and cataloged every single species of the lake, concluded it didn't look like any known animal of the lake. A biologist noted the black-red texture was possibly a different creature or pollution. Members of the show Monster Quest also examined the photographs and found no evidence of tampering. The photos wouldn't be shown to television until 2009 on Monster Quest's episode Lake Demons. Valoria would end up making a little ogopogo statue off of a plesiosaur. In 2011, a cell phone video captured 2 dark shapes in the water. A suggested explanation is that the video shows 2 logs. Radford analyzed the video for Discovery News and concluded that the video quality is poor and the camera is shaky, but a closer look at the 30-second video reveals that, instead of one long object, there are actually two shorter ones and they seem to be floating next to each other at slightly different angles. There are no humps, nor head nor form, only two long darkish, more or less straight forms that appear to be a few dozen feet long. In short, they look a lot like floating logs, which would not be surprising since Okanagan Lake has tens of thousands of logs harvested by the timber industry floating just under the lake's surface. In September 2018, there were reportedly 3 sightings, one of which was described as a giant snake that was about 15 meters 49 feet long. According to skeptical author Benjamin Radford, contemporary sightings of ogopogo were most likely misidentifications of waterfowl, otter, or beaver, adding the First Nations stories were not referring to a literal lake monster like ogopogo, but instead to a legendary water spirit. Though the supernatural Nha-Ike of the Okanagan Valley Indians are long gone, a decidedly less fearsome and more biological beast, whose exact form is a matter of debate, has replaced it. Joe Nickel and Benjamin Radford propose an origin in claims of sightings and wildlife in the region. Otters often swim in a row and their motion can often be mistaken for one continuous serpent. Radford pointed to John Kirk's 1989 sighting as likely being a group of otters. Sturgeon are often mistaken as lake monsters, but their existence in Okanagan is unclear. There is currently an unclaimed $10,000 reward for concrete evidence of sturgeon in Okanagan. Benjamin Radford has pointed to waterspouts as a likely source of inspiration for First Nation myths. Waterspouts are fairly common on Okanagan Lake, often forming when air temperatures drop and the lake still has a relatively warm water temperature. However, some people have claimed it to be a surviving Basilosaurus, a prehistoric whale that has been described as long and somewhat serpentine-like. However, this theory has been mostly debunked as most fossils have been found in Egypt, and it went extinct 35 million years ago. Additionally, Okanagan Lake gets very cold in the winter, likely making it impossible for a whale-like creature that has been adapted to salt water to live there.